So I'm gonna just be reading, just because I feel like this is interesting. Um, so, um, my Bible is Hope to the Future, Hope Future, um, New English version, and it's some questions on here. I don't know if I. So at first, I guess at first it's a little story about whoever made this Bible. She had her history. So I'm gonna read the first page, and then there is some questions. So first page says, "I think I'm pregnant." Those four words turned my life upside down. Life has been so much fun. Is there any way to go back? I just want everything to be like it was. Can I get can I get a do-over? What will happen in all my plans? Why me now? Why me? Why now? I feel so alone. Who can I turn to? And I always have that question. Who can I turn to? Just like that song. Who can I turn to? I forget who it's by. But yeah. There's hope for the There's hope for your future. It's impossible to turn back the clock, but you can make choices as you move forward and lead to and as you move forward that leads to emotional, spiritual, and physical healing. We feature two parallel stories. In the notes of this book, the first one is Brandy's story. She tells how she found herself pregnant in difficult circumstances and where she found hope. Find your story in hers, and maybe she will encourage you, having been down a similar path. A second story is yours. Take some time to think about the questions and write your response in the blanks. Use a notebook or journal if you need more space. Thinking through the questions will help you process what's happening and give you a chance to make good choices about what's next. And actually, there's a third story in this book. That's what I was just thinking about. Like, it's not only two. I know there's another one. I mean, I know there's not only her story because I read another one. There's a third story in this book. It is the true story of the world, the story of God and us. As told in the Bible, each of our lives mirrors this big story in so many ways. We seem to consistently live the themes of intention and disappointment, but redemption can also come into our lives. God is the author of this big story, and He wants to write redemption into your story. As you read the Bible's drama, especially in the life of Jesus, look for how the hope and healing there can be yours as well. This book contains the New Testament, Psalms, and Proverbs from the Bible. Read through them often, and you will see too how God is bringing His restoring power into people's lives. Immerse yourself in this revelation from God, and you will see His love for the world, His whole creation, but especially for His lost people. You are God's special creation. He loves you very much. He wants what is best for you. And this is Brandy's story, the beginning. I had plans. I was a good girl. I was getting good grades. I was on my way to success. I was even voted biggest brain. My sophomore year of high school, my parents always told me I could do anything I set my mind to, and I was going to become a doctor. Isn't this what we always hear? We can do anything we set our mind to. The human brain fascinated me. That just clicked something though. It's like we can do anything we set our mind to, but maybe they are hypocrites to their own thing. Because if we can do anything we set our mind to, then why would you put so much? Why would you have so much influence? Why would you want so much influence over our minds to where we can't follow through any plan that we have for ourselves, or the kid, being a kid and stuff like that, we are so inspired and encouraged. Like, we feel like we can do anything we set our mind to. And those words are actually, we take that to our heads, and then boom, we're hit with all of these other influences to block our path, hold us back from reaching our full potential. So why would you put that in our brains, but then you want to basically distort the reality and mess up our story, get in the way of what you told us that we could do. Why would you want to hold us back if you're the very ones that said we can do anything we put our minds to? But then you create all of these influences, and you make all of these influences so that our mind becomes, blinded to basically that inspiration. It's like people inspire us, encourage us, only to go back. People bring, like, this world is like having hope in a hopeless place. You create this hope for us. You make us see this hope in this situation, but then you're so quick to take it away, you know? So, yeah. The human brain fascinated me, and I wanted to become rich and famous and find something out about it. No one else could. I thought I might go to Africa or South America and help out some really needy people, too. But most of all, I wanted to be a success. I would be the first one in my family to go to college and do something with my life. I love my family. They were what I depended on to encourage me along the way. Have you ever had, you know, you ever heard that saying, if your mother went to college, it's a chance that you'll go to college. If your dad went to college, it's a chance that you'll go to college. If they both went to college, it's a chance that you go to college. If they didn't go to college, then it's partially, a chance that you'll go to college. Like, you got that one little fraction, that of whether you'll go to college or not. If one went to college and the other went to college, then there's maybe a partial chance that you'll go to college, but then you won't. I thought about that too, because it's like, I tried to go to college, but I had so much setbacks, mentally. My family went through this mentally. They struggle with depression. They struggle with, on my mom's side, it's a lot of schizophrenia and bipolar disorder. So that's what and depression, that's what they struggle with on my mom's side. On my dad's side of the family, it's all that anxiety. I think it's just really anxiety on their side of the family. Maybe schizophrenia. But yeah, so my mom went to college. She went to Brown, I think Brown Mackey, that's what it was. She went to college, and she got her degree, and she got a secretary type degree. I don't know exactly what it means, but it's like I know what it means, but I don't know what it was specifically, but I know it was a secretary or something. She went to college, and she followed through with college. That's why she got so many, she's always working. So my dad, I don't know if he went to college. I know earlier on, before he passed, he was in, I want to say, Stark. It was this one college he kept talking about. I think that's what it was. He was at that college, and he one minute he was, and one minute he wasn't. So it was like he wouldn't follow through. But at the same time, my dad was also in jail for a long time. Like, he got out when I was about, I would say, 8, 7 or 8. That's when he got out of jail. But he was in jail the whole time when I was a baby. Before that, I don't know because I wasn't born. But after that, he was a really professional man though. Like, he made money, he had a career. He worked with cars. Like, he had his own car agency. He had his own car business. And he would pay for my homeschooling. Like, he was a great support and a great asset because he made a lot of money. He was real good, you know. Um he had his own house. He was always working on his house. I think he wanted a garden. I think that's what it is. Like, he was so, I would say, OCD. Because you could not mess up anything in his house. You know, you couldn't. Like, he would yell at you if the chairs wasn't straight. Wasn't matching the other chairs. If there's one dish in the sink, he would have a fit. Um, Everything had to be neat. He loved working on his house. He loved decorating his house. He was like he had that mentality of like what a woman should be, honestly. He was a neat freak. I remember going to his house and he had this dog. He liked his dog, but at the same time, I don't think he was a dog type person. Um, he loved a neat woman. Um, like I said, he was always working on something, a project in his house. He was getting his house together. His house was, you know, his project. So yeah, um, he was a perfectionist. When it was this one time when I made him some noodles, and I was just like, I would add onion powder, garlic powder to my noodles, throwing some cheese, throwing some butter, and then he was like, he was like, oh my gosh, these noodles are so good. I want some more. He kept craving my noodles. I'm like, um, um, I don't know. So I went to his house one day, and that's when, well, yeah, that's when I made him some. And he just kept talking about like he never tasted those kind of noodles before. Um, so yeah, but he was a businessman. That's why I'm like, why can't I get through college? Like I said, it's a lot of mental, a lot of stuff we carry on, and I said this before. It's a lot of stuff that we carry on from our past, from our relatives. Our family go through this, you know, bipolar disorder and all this other stuff. They got names for them. That's what we call them. That's what we say. We label them. But honestly, it's just we are healing. There's no such thing as bipolar disorder. There's no such thing as schizophrenia. There's no such thing as depression. But the depression that we went through years ago, or our ancestors went through years ago, it is an emotion. It's emotional trauma, damage that has been done to our ancestors before. And we're just taking these pills as a stepping stone to get into the next, to kind of trying to block out that feeling of what they went through so we can move on with our lives. Because if we don't go through this or we don't get through this, how are we going to make it to where we're making it to? So our ancestors and how they were back then or what was done to them matters because we're feeling that emotionally, we're feeling that mentally, and sometimes we're still feeling that physically, but it's in disguise because we go out and we get these, you know, pills and stuff for headaches, stomach ache and stuff like that, but it's really all what was happening back then that we're still suffering from today. So it's like when they say it's partial chance that you'll go to college, it's partial chance that, well, it's partial chance that you'll go to college because your mother went to college or your father went to college. That's a old thing. I wouldn't go by that anymore because it all depends on that. They may have made it through college, but your experience is not their experience, you know. But what is your experience is what they went through, you know, physically, emotionally, and stuff like that back in history. You know, when what the ancestors been through, that's what you're carrying on. So, you know, you have to actually tune that out, completely tune that out to get to college. That's what it all comes down to. You'll have to tune it all out to get to college. You know, and that's what those pills and stuff are, is for you to tune out all of the hurt and the pain that they experience, to tune it out so that you can focus. But really, it's just your ancestors' pain and suffering that's calling out to you because you are, in fact, they're in their bloodline. Okay, so, but they weren't what the world will call successful. My dad was a cook in the Army, my mom a housewife, and my brother was unmotivated. But I would graduate with honors, go to Harvard, Yale, or Princeton, whichever one had the best medical program I could get into, and become someone. I might get married, but I would not have any kids. They were too snot-nosed and whiny, and I would get in the way of everything I had planned. Life was going to be great. So these are the questions, my story, the beginning. So I guess this is how she started off when she started her story. So it's a few questions in here. What were some of my dreams as a child? I already spoke on that. If you go back to later in my videos, I spoke on what my dreams was as a child. What did I most wish to be when I grew up? That's in my videos too. If I had the fairy tale life, how would my story be told? If I had the fairy tale life, I would have a husband. I would have a career. And I would be living either in a cabin. I used to say a beach house, but I just said that so I wouldn't feel weird when I said I really actually wanted like a cabin by a, you know, by a stream of water or by a river or something. That's what I would want. But now I would say just me, my kids, a career, and a cabin by the river is perfect. Think of enough for that. Brandy's story. Offer of something more. Then my dad left. He found someone who really understood him. We were living on a military base in Germany. At the time, and life was okay. I had lots of friends, and one in particular, he was really smart, kind of goofy looking, and always there for me. His name was Ted. I used to have a teddy bear named Ted. I had a light brown, like the light brown fur. I had a light brown bear named Ted, and my sister had a light dark bear named Fred. We used to always go to sleep with like cups. I used to I used to love my teddy bear. Ted, and he became my best friend very quickly. School was the best way to keep from thinking about what was going on at home. That too. That's another, if you just want to get away. But later on, it will find you. That's what I'm saying. Later on, it will find you, whether you're in school or you're in the middle of your career. All of that trauma and suffering will find you. You can't tune it out all your life. So it's best to deal with it now, and then, you know, that's why I understand when they say you can they made a way. I understand how they made a way where you can start school later on in life, because that's what you're going to have to do. But it's also easier to start school right away, just to get it out the way, because especially knowing this, but like I said, you don't know when that dark cloud will come into your life. So maybe it's just not meant to be. Meant to go to school, honestly, or meant to go to college, honestly. I really don't believe it's meant to be, but the way the world is set up, I have no, you know, other choice but to think that college is the way, you know, because that's how the world is set up. You have to make it out of the suffering and of the financial circumstances. So we're really we thinking we stressing over financial situations when life is much bigger than that. School was the best way for me to keep things, best way to keep me from thinking about what was going on at home. Mom was falling apart. Dad was spending all his time with his girlfriend and her son, and becoming an alcoholic while living a few blocks away. My brother he was my brother. He had his own set of issues. I could still become a success. Just because Dad left didn't mean I had to give up on my dreams. He left Mom, not me. Or so he said. I could go see him whenever I wanted, but school and friends were more important. 6 months later, he moved back to the U.S. Because the base closed. I had to leave all my friends. My dad was as distant as ever. My mom was living in depression, not really paying any attention to what my brother and I were thinking and feeling. My brother had graduated the year before, and I was trying to figure out what to do with was trying to figure out what to do with his life. When my dad did come around to see us, my mom did not want us spending time with him while he was with that woman. So I was pretty much all alone. I was quite literally abandoned by everyone I loved. Then I met Jimmy. He was cute, funny, and paid a lot of attention to me. He seemed genuinely interested in me and what I was going through. He took me four-wheeling out to a couple of movies, but more importantly, he made me feel like I wasn't alone anymore. So, sure, I was still writing my good friends from Germany, and Ted even told me that he loved me, and if it were 5 years later, he asked me to marry him. But I needed a body nearby, someone to see, touch, and hear. Jimmy provided that for me. Our relationship progressed pretty quickly. He started pressuring me about sex, and at first I ignored his advances. But I had hormones too, and what was stopping me? Sure, God didn't want me to have sex before I got married. But what had he done for me lately? There go that question. But what had he done for me lately? Mom had told me about her getting pregnant in high school and how she miscarried and how awful that was for her. But we had protection now. I wouldn't be so stupid to get pregnant. What were some things that took my attention away from my dreams? Some things that took my attention away from my dreams is expressing myself through painting, but writing made me more attentive. It gave me more focus to, you know, what I wanted to be and what I wanted to do in life. Before, it became more of an emotional. Before I would write down, my writing went from, imaginative, from realistic to imaginative to, personal growth, mindset to realistic, planning, prioritizing, and then it went to dreaming, personally, mentally, growing, developing, spiritually. So my writing was all over the place. But, so yeah, that's what took my attention away was mostly, sometimes my writing would put me back on track, and sometimes it would lead me off track, and that's when I'm like, when it was leading me off track and it just kept leading me off track, I'm just like, okay, now I need to do something different because it's not, it's not giving. You're not leading me in the right direction anymore, you know. So then, some other things is like, getting online, making social media accounts, and just doing everything else, vlogging. Sometimes something can go on so long and it can wake you up or it can put you to sleep, But like I said, painting was something, crafts would be something, um, my kids and, responsibilities. Just thinking of, my dreams will be your dreams, putting all my hopes and everything that I couldn't do into them or be into them. That took me away from thinking about myself to more so thinking about them and their future. So yeah, those are some things that took my attention away from my dreams. Attractive about things these what was attractive about these other things that made me want to pursue them? Painting, I guess the colors and, you know, it just took my focus away because it's just like it's expression. Like I can express everything I need to get out. Um, and therefore it just took me in a whole different direction. Like if in school, in college, what we learn is that we want to go to school to pursue our passion, you know. But if you can be passionate in one way or another, it makes it a different purpose for you to go to school, and it kind of, wakes you up to the fact that okay, I'm only going to school honestly is to be financially stable. If I can pursue my passion in the process, that's icing on the cake. At least I'll be doing something that I love, as well as, you know, becoming financially stable. And my mindset back then, honestly, was like, if I can't do this, I'm gonna do that. Like before, when I said I wanted to go to the Navy, I'm like, okay, I can kill two birds with one stone. I can, be a clinical psychologist for financial reasons. I can do professional volleyball if I want to, because that's another way of expressing myself, and or later on if I want to, because when you go to college and you're financially stable, you have so many ways you can branch off. You can become an artist. You can paint and do that. You can have so many ways to become stable. And then I was like, I can be a journalist. I can do what I really want to do. I can be heard the way I want to be heard. In all of these ways, I'm still getting paid, so there's no way that I can go wrong. But not being in college and not actually, um, reaching into that point. I was in college, but I didn't finish and stuff like that. So when I kind of felt like my dreams and stuff was kind of beginning to tarnish, like a jewelry is beginning to get old, then you know you you pick up other hobbies to express yourself, such as painting, such as writing, such as crafting and stuff like that, just to express yourself. And then so that is what like I said, I explained what writing did for me. I explained what painting did for me. The artistic traits. It taught me, abstract painting. You can learn a lot just through creativity. There was a point where I got a lot of songs that I wrote to express my emotions. I even began to sing them, but I didn't like my own voice. But I was embarrassed, and I was just like, this ain't gonna get me nowhere. Ain't nobody gonna hear it, this and that. I was kind of giving up on myself. But I did write a lot of songs. I write a lot of poetry. I wrote a book. I wrote a bunch of short stories. I wrote two books actually, and some short stories. So yeah, these type of things just put you in a place where I'm good, emotionally, but at the same time, it can become overwhelming to where you look for an outlet. And I feel like college is more so a outlet of expression. It's more so of you're expressing in a whole different way. Everything is an expression in a whole different way, but the meaning behind what you're doing it for, also interferes with your what you set out to do. So if you go into college, it's kind of like eventually it's like I used to feel like maybe you'll be losing yourself because you're so worried about finance and stuff like this. This took over your mind and it's burying you. So it's a lot of things I can say about that, but I'm gonna stop with that and go to the next question. Oh, so that was that question. So, Brandy's story not according to plan. So, I joined the throngs of the rest of the world, and I started having sex with Jimmy. At first, we were always using some form of protection, and then we began to get careless. Several months later, I was pressured by my mom to take a pregnancy test. I felt awful. I was sitting in the bathroom waiting for the results, pleading with God, and if it was negative, I dumped Jimmy and get back on track. I go back to studying and working towards college. I'd be a good girl again, but it wasn't. My world crashed around me. What I was going to do, I had colleges sending me offers for scholarships. I didn't want to marry this guy. He wasn't the kind of guy to marry. He was the kind you date. You have some fun and that's it. Not the one you have a family with. So basically, she was just planning on, having fun with this guy. She didn't see this guy in her future. Not the one you have a family with. I didn't even want a family. I had only, and if you realize earlier on, she did say that she really didn't like kids. They were snot nosed or something like that. I had only babysat 4 kids in all my life, and I didn't like any of them. This was not right. How could I be pregnant? What about my plans? What about school? What about success? What about me? Would anybody still love me? I didn't want this baby. I didn't want any baby, but I knew I could live with an abortion. I couldn't live with an abortion either. What was my mom going to say? My dad wasn't around much, but he'd still be angry. What would all my friends say? What would my teacher say? How could I go to school with a gigantic stomach and walk around and then walk around and face anybody? I was scared. In fact, I was terrified. What was I going to do? Abortions. I've had a few abortions. I had an abortion when I was younger. I was 16 years old, and my stepfather was more so of, I want you to succeed. I want you to succeed. Basically that type of mindset. This baby will be a problem and standing away. So he paid for he made the decision that we'll get an abortion, and he paid for that abortion. The second time, I had already had my child. No, the second time was when the second time I had a baby was my decision. I'm like, I'm gonna have my baby, and that was my daughter. So I didn't have a. The second time was after my daughter. Um, I wound up becoming pregnant, but I was in the midst of pursuing. I was a teacher at the time, and I'm like, I already got a baby, and I'm just no. And I was on my depression medicines, and I had already had my psychotic disorder and stuff like that. There was also a time where he out, and after I got out of the hospital, my doctor determined, he was like, yeah, you'll be on Adderall for the rest of your life, and you will be this way. Basically, he said I will be slow going forward. And he was actually surprised because 3 months later, I had developed myself to a point where I was proving him wrong. Um, I always felt like I had to prove myself anyway. So, um, then, oh, and I had to write. I had to learn to write all over again. I had to basically condition my mind. I had to self-develop myself, and because I was basically like, no, this is not the end for me. So I had to push myself. So I had to push my brain. I had to push my writing because I couldn't write. I couldn't really function. But I taught myself. I taught myself mentally that because they said, like I said, he seen me as I was going to be slow. I was going to be, I wouldn't be able to write again and this and that. And I learned how to write again. I learned how to, I did it all myself. 3 months later, I came back to him, and he was just astonished. Like, he had never seen nothing happen like that before. And it happened. So, yeah, that was, his name was Dr. Joyce. He was my psychologist and my psychiatrist. And he was, the more he learned about me, the closer we got. So, I started to, I don't know, we just got closer, you know, in a father daughter type, you know, um relationship. I was telling him everything and everything. Like, he was my therapist as well. Like, I talked to him about everything. So yeah, he was like a father figure to me. Going forward, I amazed him and he helped me, and it was a journey. Um, so yeah, so we was talking about abortion. So after I got myself together, I wound up remembering how to go get an abortion when I needed it, and I decided to get another abortion. The first abortion was, yeah, it was like an abortion through the clinic. The second abortion was an abortion through the clinic. Yeah, I had another abortion, and that was with I don't know who it was by. I want to say it was by my daughter's father, because I was in a relationship with somebody else at the time, and I really didn't want to have another baby by him, and I was pursuing a relationship. So then there was another baby I aborted, and it was my um hmm, I want to say I only aborted two, but I remember my son's dad taking me to the clinic, because the second one I paid my my ex-boyfriend that wasn't the father of the baby, he paid for it, because honestly, I freaking lied and told him that he was the father just so he can do it. No, he didn't know. No, did I? I might have. I don't know. I was like a genius in the mind. I always got what I wanted, but he wound up paying for it. He paid for it, and I went. My mom took me to the clinic, and I got it done. And then there was a third abortion, and that was my son's dad's child. We both decided that we didn't want to do this, and I was like, this will be my last time going to the clinic. After this, I'm not doing it anymore, because I don't like the way it felt. I couldn't do it anymore. So that was when I decided not to get any more abortions. So after that, it was the abortion pill. I aborted uh, a white man's baby, and I aborted. I think I only took the abortion pill twice. No, I took it one time. I only took it one time, and I was with the white man's baby. So a total of 4 abortions, 3 physical abortions, and 1 pill abortion. And yeah, that was all my abortions. So there go my secrets. Y'all know now. What would my friends say? What would my teacher say? How could I go to school with a gigantic stomach and walk around and face anybody? I feel like when I was pregnant with my daughter, I was 18. I was 7. I was 18, but I didn't graduate till I was 19. I was going actually the day after I graduated, I turned 19. So I was 19 out of school, but my whole senior year I was 18. And I was just walking through school. I'm like, yeah, I got this. I'm pregnant, but I didn't care. Like, I loved the fact that I was pregnant. I was excited, and I just loved the experience. But I went through a lot of out being pregnant in high school is not safe. That's all I can say, because I had so many people bullying me. I had so many people, you know, um, just angry with me just because, jealousy and this and that, to the point where I had people wanting to jump me. while I was pregnant. So honestly, I had to carry a knife in my book bag the whole time. Um, Actually, the girl of my cousin's girlfriend, my cousin's girlfriend. I think she is baby mom now. Actually was about to stab her because I was at the mall one day. Well, yeah, there was a bus stop at the mall to where I go down and I take to my job at the daycare, and I was pregnant, and she was basically coming at me. She was like, and I was pregnant at the time, like my belly was big, and she was trying to attack me, so I pulled out my knife. I had a big butcher knife, and she was like, "Oh, you gonna stab me?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm pregnant. You not about to attack me." And then so I had my knife on me. I'm like, anybody try to attack me, I got a baby inside me. Y'all is not about to come for me. You're not this time. There was times when my date, where I worked, had to come pick me up from school because they was trying to jump me. You know, that's how they looked out for me. But I also looked out for myself, like, nah, y'all not about to attack me with a baby inside my stomach. That's not about to happen. And she was just standing there like, her name was Quay, and I just seen her this weekend when we was at the funeral, we was drunk and stuff like that. But I remembered her, but I didn't remember that moment until now. So yeah, I actually had to defend myself against her because she was planning on jumping me with her friends, and she kept just searching for me, and I'm just like, no, I'm pregnant, and I took out my knife, and I had a knife on me. I'm like, nope. You try to do something to me with this baby in my stomach, you gonna get cut. So yeah, that's what happened. Um, so how did that part come along? Started crying. I stilled myself. Oh, what was I? I was terrified. What was I going to do? I stilled myself and left the bathroom. Mom was waiting for me downstairs. I handled her. But I was on top. Okay, so I I liked being pregnant. I loved being pregnant. But I was the only one in school pregnant at the time. After that, there was a lot of girls. After that, I was the only one. So then it became normal. Um, so let's get back. So this one is, we're almost done with this story, and we're going to stop there. So I stilled myself and left the bathroom. Mom was waiting for me downstairs. I handed her the test. She started crying. That wasn't the reaction I expected, but she cried and hugged me. I felt even worse. Why wouldn't she yell at me? When I became pregnant in high school, and I told mom, well, when I became pregnant at 16, I told my mom, she just, her, well, we was more so acting off my stepdad's reaction, like and instantly he was like, no. But my mom, she was just like, she was humble. Like, it ain't nothing she never heard before. So she was just like, you know, okay, what you want to do? And then that's when my stepdad chimed in. I felt even worse. Why wouldn't she yell at me like something she already expected? Isn't that what I deserved? I be sleeping with my boyfriend, and she been telling me for years that it was wrong. I was supposed to wait for marriage. That was how God intended it. Sex is meant for marriage. Sex is meant for the marriage bed. So why wasn't she yelling? Why was she crying? Shouldn't I be the one crying? I was the one who was going to be grounded for the next 18 years. Texting, taking care of a child I didn't want. She over exaggerated because she's talking about grounded for the next 18 years. Girl, how old is you? One? I'm sorry, honey. I'm so sorry, Mom said over and over again. Then I started showing, and so I did. Hold on. Then I started showing, and so did the looks of pity and disappointment. Everyone was trying to give me advice. Wasn't any of their business anyway. I didn't want advice. I just wanted to forget about the baby and what I would have to do. If I gave the baby up for adoption, I could have my life back. But but what would the child think? I knew I couldn't live with an abortion, but I could. Could I live with an abortion? So many questions. Why couldn't God just let me have a miscarriage like my mom. That's what I kept hoping for. Please, God, just take this baby so I can do great things in my life. I promise I'll help out the needy once I become a doctor. I'll volunteer in poor countries just to take the baby back. Just take this baby back. The only way I could see something good coming from this pregnancy was for God to end it. I had been lonely and angry, and I never get to be alone again. I had been looking for someone to love me, and all I got was a huge problem I had to fix. I don't know why I was so lonely. I don't know why I believed Jimmy when he told me he couldn't get me pregnant. How could I be so stupid? What could have possibly been my motivation? I needed love, not a baby, and maybe this was God's um, gift to her to be loved, and that's what I seen. That's what I seen in my first child, in my baby of my daughter. That's what I wanted. I wanted love, and I felt love. When I had her, I wanted to be loved, and I felt like she was my, you know, she was she was a reflection of me that needed to be loved. I needed love, not a baby. Didn't God know that? I was desperate for someone to validate my feelings about my dad abandoning me. I wanted people to understand that he hadn't just left my mom, he'd left me too. And I wanted to love me and hold me when I was upset, and that's exactly how, that was my reason for having my daughter, honestly. I was in the same mindset, but I wasn't accepting of the baby. She didn't want a baby, but I wanted a baby. So this is exactly how I felt, and this is why I accepted having my daughter. I was still loved by my mom and dad. Why couldn't my relationship with Jimmy do that? Why did it lead? Why did it have to turn into a baby? Someone I would now have to give all those things I needed most. How could someone who felt abandoned and unloved love a baby the way it needed? How could someone who felt abandoned and unloved love a baby the way it needed? So yeah, that's the end of this story. It's going on 8 o'clock now, and I have to get my son ready for school. But I will see y'all another time. Bye, and enjoy the rest of y'all. What is it? Tuesday? No, it's Wednesday. So yeah. I was about to say there's no saying for Taco Tuesday, but yeah. Have a good Wednesday. And then there's Hump Day is Thursday. What's Wednesday? I don't know what Wednesday is. But yeah, share. Like, comment, subscribe, stay notified, share at your own free will if you care. And yeah, see y'all next time. Hope to hear from y'all, and bye.